The training world was not gentle. It never was. The sky above the alien academy stayed dark most days, covered by thick clouds that moved slowly like heavy animals. The ground was hard and wet, filled with sharp plants and strange smells. This place was built to test only the strong. Weak beings did not last long here. Cadets from many predator species trained on this world. Some had claws that could cut metal. Some had teeth made for tearing flesh. Others had thick skin and eyes that could see in the dark. They walked with pride and confidence, knowing they were born hunters. Humans were new to this academy. Most aliens believed humans were fragile. No claws, no sharp teeth, soft skin, small bodies. Many thought humans were mistakes that somehow reached the stars. One human cadet stood alone near the edge of the jungle zone. His uniform was simple and clean, marked with a small badge of his unit. He carried only basic gear, no heavy weapons, no armor plates, just tools and a calm face. Alien instructors watched him from a raised platform far away. They spoke in low voices, their eyes sharp. They had chosen this test on purpose. The jungle zone was large and dangerous. Tall trees blocked the light. Thick vines covered the ground. Many creatures lived inside, some trained, some wild. Cadets were sent here to learn fear, pain, and survival. The human cadet was sent in alone. Other species usually entered in groups. Humans were given no such advantage. The human stepped forward when the signal light turned green. He did not rush. He did not look back. He walked into the jungle with steady steps. Inside the trees, the air felt heavy. Sounds echoed in strange ways. Leaves moved even when there was no wind. The human stopped after a short distance. He listened. He watched. He knew this was not just a survival test. Far above, hidden drones followed his movement. Alien eyes studied every step. Not far away, a group of young predator cadets moved through the jungle with ease. They were known as cubs, not fully grown but already dangerous. They trained together often and enjoyed proving their strength. They had been told a human was inside the zone. At first they laughed. A human alone was easy prey. They spread out and began to hunt. The jungle grew quiet. The human felt it before he saw them. The silence was wrong. Birds stopped calling. Insects hid. Even the ground felt tense. He slowed his breathing. Then he heard it, a low growl. Another answered from the opposite side. The human stopped walking. Slowly, shapes appeared between the trees. Tall bodies, long arms, sharp eyes reflecting dim light, teeth showing in wide smiles. The predator cubs stepped closer, forming a loose circle around him. Their movements were smooth and confident. One of them spoke in broken trade language. Small prey. You walked too far. The others laughed. Their tails and crests rose high, showing dominance. The human looked at them one by one. He did not raise his weapon. He did not step back. He simply stood there. The predators moved closer. The circle tightened. Another cub spoke. You should run. It makes this fun. The human did something unexpected. He smiled, not wide, not proud, just calm. The laughter stopped. The predators paused. Their instincts reacted before their minds did. Something felt wrong. One cub tilted its head. Why do you smile? The human did not answer right away. He slowly placed his pack on the ground. His movements were slow and clear. No threat, no fear. He spoke softly. "I was hoping you would come." The jungle seemed to lean closer. The predators exchanged looks. Prey did not speak like this. One cub growled and stepped forward, claws digging into the soil. "Do not pretend to be brave." The human nodded. "I am not pretending." Far away, on the observation platform, alien instructors leaned forward. Some felt uneasy. Others were curious. The human took one step forward. The predators stepped back. It was small, almost nothing, but it happened. The cubs did not understand why they moved. Their bodies reacted on instinct. The human noticed. He kept smiling. The circle broke slightly as the predators adjusted their positions. Leaves cracked under their feet. One snapped a branch by mistake. The human listened. He saw the paths they blocked. He noted the ground behind them. He smelled fear mixed with pride. He spoke again. "You are good hunters." The cubs froze. "But you hunt like this world is gentle." The predators did not like that. One cub rushed forward with a roar. The human moved. Not fast, not slow. Just enough. The charging cub tripped. A thin line snapped tight around its leg. It fell hard, crashing into the ground. A trap. The jungle exploded with sound. The other predators jumped back, shocked. The human stepped aside and raised one hand. "Easy." The trapped cub struggled, snarling. The line cut deeper the more it moved. The human did not attack. He waited. The predators stared at him now, no longer laughing. He spoke calmly. "Struggle makes it worse." The cub froze. The pain lessened. The predators looked at each other. Their confidence cracked. Another cub growled. "You planned this?" The human nodded. "Always plan." The jungle felt smaller now. The human reached into his pack slowly and pulled out a small device. He placed it on the ground and stepped back. A sharp sound burst through the trees, high and sudden. The predators cried out and covered their ears. It was not deadly, just painful. When the sound stopped, the human stood alone again, breathing slow. Predators backed away further. Fear showed in their eyes. The human looked at them. "This is a test," he said, "not a hunt." The cubs did not answer. One by one, they began to retreat. They did not turn their backs, but they moved away. The human watched them go. When they were gone, he cut the trap line and helped the fallen cub stand. He did not speak. He did not threaten. Then he turned and walked deeper into the jungle. On the platform, silence ruled. An instructor whispered. The human smiled. No one replied. Far inside the jungle, unseen eyes followed the human as he disappeared among the trees. The test had only begun. The human cadet moved deeper into the jungle. Every step was careful, yet confident. His eyes scanned the shadows. Every sound was noted. Twigs breaking, leaves rustling, small movements that most aliens would ignore. He remembered his training on Earth. Humans did not have claws or teeth, but they had endurance, patience, and the ability to think ahead. His instructors had drilled into him one simple lesson: control fear, and fear controls nothing. He found a small clearing and paused. Sunlight filtered in through the canopy, weak but enough to warm the ground. He knelt, touching the soil, feeling the vibrations of life around him. Tiny creatures ran below. Birds perched above. watching silently. He smiled again, not because he was happy, but because he knew the predators were learning his rules. Fear, when met calmly, lost its power. The predators from earlier had returned, but not together. Small groups, cautious and tense, moved like shadows through the undergrowth. They were curious now, confused. The human was no longer prey in their minds. He was something else. He prepared small tools from his pack, nets, wires, and a small device that could emit high-pitched sound. Nothing lethal, but everything that could control movement. Every predator had instincts, and every instinct could be influenced with knowledge. He waited. The first group approached silently. He could see their eyes glinting through the branches. They were close enough to strike, but they did not. They paused, unsure. They were learning, but they did not understand. The human moved one hand slightly. A wire lifted from his pack and dropped behind a bush. When a predator stepped on it, it triggered a small net that tumbled around its legs. It was trapped, not hurt, but unable to move quickly. The other predators hissed. They expected prey to panic. But he did not. He took slow, measured steps toward them. Not fast, not threatening, just calm. The trapped cub struggled. The human bent down and spoke softly. "Relax, you are fine. Struggle only makes it worse." The predator hesitated. The human's voice did not frighten. It did not attack. It was strange. He helped the cub untangle itself. No threat, no pride lost, only respect. Other predators watched. Their ears twitched. Their tails lowered slightly. This human was not ordinary. The human stood and moved slowly along a small path. The predators followed from a distance. He led them, not trapped them, but guided them without force. Every step was controlled, every move calculated. They could not anticipate, and that confused them. Sometimes, showing calm in danger taught more than fighting. Humans survived by thinking, by planning, by seeing opportunities where others saw only threat. He stopped near a small stream. Water moved quietly over stones. He knelt and touched it, listening to the flow. The predators stopped at the edge, unsure. The human looked at them and smiled slightly. "You want to attack? Go ahead. But know that I am ready." No one moved. He watched their movements carefully. Their breathing changed. Their instincts warned them. This human did not fear. That made them fear. The human pulled another device from his pack, a small cylinder. He placed it on a stone and pressed a button. A sharp, high-pitched sound cut through the air. The predators cried out and backed away, holding their ears. It was not deadly, but it commanded attention. He did not attack. He simply watched, calm as ever. One predator stepped forward bravely, growling. The human raised a hand. The predator froze. He spoke softly. "I do not want to hurt you, but I will protect myself." The predator blinked. It did not understand, but it hesitated. The human took a few steps forward, not fast, not threatening, just moving. The predator stepped back. Slowly, one by one, the others followed. They began to see that raw strength alone was not enough here. This human moved differently. He thought differently. The human smiled, just slightly, and continued through the jungle. He let the predators follow from a distance. He was teaching them a lesson without striking a blow. Every step, every movement showed control and patience. They had never seen a hunter like this. Hours passed. The sun moved behind the clouds. The jungle seemed less threatening to him, more alive, more in tune. He moved silently, observing everything, every insect, every plant, every predator movement. Nothing escaped him. Finally, he reached a high ridge. From there, he could see the dense jungle below. Predators were still following, but more carefully now. They had learned respect, even if they did not name it. The human paused. He looked at the jungle, at the predators, and at the sky. He felt no fear, only understanding. He knew this test was not about killing or fighting. It was about survival, control, and a teaching of a simple truth. Fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be. The predators watched from below, still hidden. They whispered in their own language, confused, amazed, and cautious. Far above, the alien instructors on the platform took notes. Some were impressed, others worried. A human surviving here, controlling predators without weapons or aggression, was unexpected. The human smiled faintly again. He knew the predators were learning. More importantly, they were learning from him without realizing it. Each hesitation, each pause, each step backward was his teaching. The jungle was no longer just a test. It was a classroom, and he was the teacher. He continued forward, deeper into the unknown. The predators followed silently, respecting the invisible rules he set. Each step was deliberate. Each move showed patience. Each smile, calm and confident, unsettled them more than fear ever could. As he disappeared into the thick shadows of the jungle, the predators stopped. They circled silently, unsure what to do next. The human had not struck. He had not raised a weapon. He had simply moved and smiled, and that had been enough. The jungle seemed quieter now, almost aware. The predators left, whispering among themselves. They were not defeated by force. They were defeated by something harder to understand, something human. And the human cadet moved on, ready for the next lesson the jungle had for him. The human cadet moved quietly through the dense jungle. Every branch, every leaf, every sound told a story. He had learned the ways of this world quickly. The predators had begun to understand one truth. Humans did not behave like other creatures. The cadet stopped near a small waterfall. Water fell in a constant soft rush, hiding smaller sounds. He knelt and listened. The vibrations of the earth carried the movement of other creatures. He knew the predator cubs were still nearby, watching, learning, and unsure. He thought about what had happened so far. Each predator he faced had tested him. They expected fear. They expected struggle. But he did not give them either. Instead, he showed calm. That was more powerful than weapons, more powerful than claws. Far above, alien instructors watched silently. Some whispered among themselves. Some frowned. A human surviving in this jungle, controlling predators without attacking, was something they had never seen. They made notes carefully, marking every movement, every decision the human made. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the trees behind him. The predator cubs were approaching again. This time, they were not alone. Older predators had joined them, watching carefully. They moved silently, their eyes glowing in the low light. They were curious, cautious, and now slightly afraid. He did not panic. He did not run. He simply smiled. A small, calm smile that did not invite attack. The predators paused. They had learned from the last encounter that this human did not fear. That made them hesitate. He raised one hand slightly, signaling them to wait. Some predator cubs stopped immediately. Others hesitated. One bold cub tried to move forward. The human took a slow step in its direction. The cub froze. He spoke softly. "I do not want to hurt you, but I will protect myself." The words were calm, clear, and unexpected. The predator backed away slightly. It had never heard a voice like this before. The other predators watched, unsure. They had strength. They had teeth. They had numbers, but they did not have this calm. The human reached into his pack and pulled out small devices he had prepared earlier. He did not use them to attack. He used them to teach. One emitted a high-pitched sound that made predators uncomfortable but did not harm them. Another dropped a net, catching a small branch and signaling a trap without causing pain. Every tool was a lesson. He moved through the jungle carefully. Each predator followed, keeping a distance. They could not understand why they obeyed the invisible rules set by a human without claws or teeth. The cadet was teaching with presence alone. Each step, each glance, each calm movement created a strange authority. Hours passed. The sun moved behind thick clouds, casting shadows that twisted and merged. The jungle seemed alive, responding to the human's control. Even the predators noticed. They moved slower, more cautious, more aware. The human paused again at a small clearing. The predator cubs and their older companions surrounded the area, but they did not attack. They had learned restraint. They were learning respect. The human knelt and touched the soil, sensing vibrations through the ground. He could feel every footstep, every subtle movement nearby. He spoke softly, almost to himself. "Fear is nothing if you do not feed it. Patience is power." The predators watched, unsure if he spoke to them or to the jungle. Either way, the words had weight. They could feel the truth in them. Suddenly, one predator cub moved quickly, attempting a strike. The human shifted slightly, avoiding the attack with a movement so precise it seemed effortless. The cub tripped over a hidden root, falling to the ground. The other predators gasped and stopped immediately. The human did not laugh. He did not scold. He simply extended a hand and helped the cub stand. Respect was earned, not forced. Strength alone was not enough. The predators moved back, uncertain. They had expected aggression. They had expected fear. Instead, they found calm and strategy. They realized they were learning, and that learning was uncomfortable. The cadet continued forward. The predators followed from a safe distance. He guided them through the jungle without touching them, teaching them rules of movement, awareness, and patience. Every pause, every step, every glance was a lesson. He reached a high ridge overlooking a vast part of the jungle. The predators stopped at the edge, watching silently. He looked at them, his eyes calm and steady. You can fight. You can run. You can attack. But none of it matters if you do not control your mind first. The predators did not respond. They could only watch. They were learning a lesson older than any weapon, older than any claw. Control yourself, and you control the world around you. The human smiled faintly and continued along the ridge. He moved with care, observing, learning, teaching without aggression. The predators followed, cautious but curious. Each step forward was a message. Power is not only in strength. Power is in patience, in knowledge, in understanding. He paused near a fallen tree. The predators approached slowly. One young cub tried to challenge him, but he remained calm. The cub hesitated and then stepped back. Respect had been earned, not taken. The human knelt and listened to the jungle. Every sound, every movement, every vibration told a story. The predators watched silently. They could not predict him. They could not understand him fully, and that made him even stronger. Far above, the alien instructors observed. They whispered among themselves, noting every action, every decision. Some shook their heads in disbelief. A human cadet, without natural weapons, without advanced armor, was teaching predator species lessons in patience, restraint, and strategy. The human rose and continued. The predators followed, maintaining distance. They were cautious, uncertain, and more aware than ever. Each predator learned something new, without realizing it. The human's calm presence was more effective than any attack, more powerful than any display of force. The jungle seemed quieter, almost aware. The predators whispered among themselves, confused and amazed. This human had not struck a blow. He had not shown anger. He had simply moved, observed, and smiled. The human cadet disappeared into the dense foliage, leaving the predators to their thoughts. They were no longer just hunters. They were students of something greater, something they could not yet name. And the human continued, ready for the next challenge, prepared to teach more lessons without a weapon, without fear, and with a smile that unsettled even the strongest predators. The jungle grew darker as the sun sank behind thick clouds. Shadows moved and stretched between the trees, creating shapes that could confuse even the most experienced predators. The human cadet moved with steady steps, his eyes scanning every shadow, every movement, every sound. He had learned long ago that fear was useless, and patience was power. Behind him, the predator cubs and their older companions followed at a distance. They had learned to hesitate, to wait, to watch. Every step he took seemed simple, yet each was calculated. They could not predict him. That was unsettling. The human paused near a large fallen tree. He touched it gently, feeling the vibrations of the ground through the roots. The predators watched silently, uncertain. They had expected confrontation, attack, or fear, but found only calm, careful observation. Suddenly, one of the older predators lunged forward, trying to test him. The human did not move quickly. He shifted his weight subtly, almost imperceptibly, and the predator stumbled over a hidden root. The cadet's foot barely moved, yet it was enough. The predators froze, realizing that strength alone would not decide this encounter. The human smiled faintly. He did not mock. He did not attack. He merely stood, calm and patient. The predators whispered among themselves, confused. How could a being so physically weak command such respect without force? He continued walking, guiding them deeper into the jungle. Each movement was deliberate. Each glance, each pause, taught them lessons without words. He did not strike, but he controlled the battlefield. The predators began to understand that they were being studied as much as they were studying him. Hours passed. The rain began to fall softly, soaking the leaves and turning the soil muddy. The human moved steadily, his uniform damp, but his movements unhindered. The predators became more cautious, slowing their pace, unsure of what the next step might reveal. The human paused near a small clearing. Sunlight broke through the clouds briefly, illuminating the space. He knelt and observed the ground. Every footprint, every broken twig, every small movement of insects told him a story. The predators watched silently. They could not see what he saw, but they felt the weight of his awareness. He pulled out a small device from his pack. It emitted a subtle vibration, enough to make the predators wary but not injured. A cub stepped forward, testing him. The human tilted the device, sending a gentle pulse that made the cub stumble. He did not strike. He did not threaten. He merely observed. The predators moved back, respecting the unseen rules of this strange human. Their instincts screamed at them, but the human's calm presence forced hesitation. They had never encountered a creature like this. They could not anticipate, could not intimidate. He stood and walked toward a narrow path between two large rocks. The predators followed, keeping their distance. One cub tried to rush him, but the human sidestepped smoothly, almost dancing with the shadows. The cub crashed into a tree, stumbling, and quickly regained composure, but it hesitated afterward. The human spoke softly, not as a threat, but as a lesson. Patience is strength. Calm is power. Fear is nothing if you do not feed it. The predators did not respond with words. They could not. They only observed. Every movement, every pause, every calm gesture carried authority stronger than teeth or claws. As the cadet moved forward, the predators realized that they were no longer the hunters. They were students. Each step taught them restraint, strategy, and awareness. Each glance conveyed understanding and command. The jungle grew denser, the shadows deeper. Strange noises echoed through the trees. The predator's instincts warned them, but the human's calm presence dominated the environment. He moved through the undergrowth without fear, without haste, teaching without a single strike. Suddenly, a branch snapped underfoot. The predators tensed, ready to attack. But the human remained still. He turned slowly, not in fear, but in awareness. The predators saw him calm, prepared, and unthreatened. They paused. I, he continued, leading them toward a high ridge that overlooked a wide expanse of jungle. The predators followed at a cautious distance, uncertain of what they were witnessing. Strength and aggression were useless here. Patience, awareness, and strategy ruled. The human paused at the edge of the ridge. He looked down at the jungle below, then back at the predators. He smiled faintly, not in arrogance, not in mockery, but in quiet understanding. He spoke softly. You may have strength. You may have strength. You may have speed, but understanding wins the day. The predators did not answer. They only watched, learning a lesson older than any weapon or claw. They realized that raw power was meaningless without control. The human continued along the ridge, deeper into the unknown. The predators followed silently. Each step forward was a new lesson, a new revelation. The jungle seemed to bend around him, responding to his presence, acknowledging his understanding. The sun disappeared completely behind thick clouds, and darkness settled over the forest. The human did not slow. He moved with purpose, guided by awareness and experience. The predators became more cautious, more observant, more aware of their own limitations. Finally, the human reached a narrow stream that cut through the jungle. He knelt and touched the water, listening to its movement. The predators watched from a distance, unsure of what to do next. They had never encountered a being so calm, so controlled, and yet so alive. He stood and looked at the predators. His eyes were calm, steady, and filled with quiet authority. The predators whispered among themselves, recognizing that they were no longer hunters in this encounter. They were students, learning lessons that no claws or teeth could teach. The human moved forward, deeper into the darkness, ready to face whatever the jungle had next. The predators followed cautiously, respect growing where fear had once ruled. The jungle fell silent around them, aware of the strange power of a human who smiled calmly when surrounded by predators. The human cadet moved steadily through the thick jungle, the dim light of the day fading completely into night. The sounds of the jungle changed as darkness settled in. Every leaf, every rustle, every small snap carried information. He walked calmly, aware of each vibration beneath his feet, each movement in the shadows around him. The predator cubs and their adult companions followed at a cautious distance. They had learned much, yet the cadet's calm presence unsettled them still. They could not anticipate him, could not intimidate him, and that fact made them uneasy. He paused at the edge of a steep ravine, the narrow stream below reflecting the faint starlight above. He looked down and studied the path. The predators watched, waiting, unsure of what he might do next. Then he smiled slightly. It was not a grin, not a mockery, just a calm, confident smile. The predators shivered at the display. They had learned that this human never feared, and in that calmness lay a strange power. He moved forward, slowly lowering himself down the side of the ravine. The predators followed at a distance, careful, hesitant. One bold cub attempted to rush him, but the human shifted his weight, stepped aside, and the cub stumbled, crashing into a low branch. The cadet did not laugh. He did not scold. He simply continued, steady, deliberate, and aware of every movement around him. At the bottom of the ravine, the human paused by a shallow pool. The predators gathered cautiously, watching his every movement. He touched the water with his fingers, listening to its gentle ripple, feeling the vibration along the stones. Every predator around him noticed the calm precision of his actions. They were learning that strength and teeth could not command the jungle here. Only awareness and patience ruled. Suddenly, a rustle came from deeper within the jungle. Predators moved instinctively, ready to strike. The human lifted a hand slightly, signaling stillness. They paused, uneasy. No other creature they had faced ever commanded such respect without aggression. The human knelt, listening. The rustle was small, harmless, yet the predators hesitated. They were studying the human now, not the other way around. He spoke softly. Caution is not weakness. Observation is strength. The words were not loud, but they carried weight. The predators could sense the truth in them. They did not advance. They did not attack. They only watched. The human rose and moved forward. The predators followed at a cautious distance. Every step was careful, deliberate, and measured. He had taught them restraint without a single strike. He had taught them strategy without a word of command. They could not yet name the lesson, but they felt it. Respect had been earned. Fear had been replaced with awareness. As the night grew darker, strange sounds echoed through the jungle. Small creatures scuttled through the undergrowth. Leaves rustled. A branch snapped. The predators tensed. The human paused. He observed the shadows, noting movements invisible to the others. One of the adult predators stepped forward, testing him. The human moved slightly, almost imperceptibly, and the predator stumbled over a root. The predators around them froze, realizing that this human's awareness surpassed even their instincts. The cadet smiled faintly and continued forward. He guided them through a narrow canyon, through dense undergrowth, across small streams. Each predator followed silently, carefully. They had learned that raw strength, speed, or aggression would not allow them to predict or control him. Their instincts had been challenged, and the cadet's calm had dominated the encounter. He paused by a large tree, with roots extending like fingers across the jungle floor. He knelt and felt the vibration of the earth beneath. The predators watched, maintaining distance, uncertain. They could see him but could not understand him. Every movement he made conveyed quiet authority and patience. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small device, placing it gently on the ground. It emitted a faint, pulsing sound. A predator cub attempted to rush forward, but the pulse caused it to stumble. The cadet did not attack or threaten. He merely observed. The other predators realized that the human's control did not require aggression. The cadet stood and looked around the jungle. Shadows moved. Eyes gleamed. Sounds whispered. Yet he remained calm, patient, aware. The predators whispered among themselves, confused, cautious, and a bit fearful. They had underestimated this human, and now they were learning. He moved deeper into the jungle, guiding the predators along paths unseen, through narrow corridors of vines and trees. Every step, every pause, every glance was a lesson. They could not fight his calm. They could not outthink his patience. Strength was meaningless here. Awareness ruled. Finally, they emerged into a wide clearing. The moonlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the area. The predators hesitated at the edge. The humans stood still, observing, listening, aware of every detail. He smiled faintly. The predators watched, cautious, respectful, and silent. They realized that the human had dominated the encounter not with claws or teeth, but with calm awareness and strategy. He spoke softly. "You may have speed. You may have strength, but control your mind, and the world bends to you." No predator replied. They could not. They had learned that the human cadet was not to be underestimated. Fear had no hold over him. Strength had no power over him. Knowledge, patience, and calm were the greatest weapons in the galaxy. The human moved toward the edge of the clearing. The predators followed, hesitant, careful. They had been taught lessons they did not fully understand, lessons older than any weapon or claw. They had learned respect without a strike, awareness without fear. They had learned that a human, even small and seemingly weak, could dominate a jungle filled with predators simply through patience and calm control. The cadet smiled again, faint, confident. He turned, walking back through the jungle, guiding the predators away from the clearing. They followed, silent, cautious, and respectful. The jungle itself seemed to acknowledge his presence. Shadows moved aside, leaves whispered underfoot, and even the creatures of the night kept their distance. He paused once more at the edge of a high ridge. He looked down at the jungle below, then back at the predators. His calm eyes met theirs. They understood something they could not name. They had been tested, observed, and taught. They had been humbled by patience, strategy, and awareness. He spoke softly one final time. A predator hunts with claws. A human hunts with mind and patience. Remember this. The predators did not reply. They only nodded in understanding, cautious and aware. They would not forget this night, this lesson, this human who had dominated the jungle without weapons, without fear, and without anger. The human cadet continued into the night. His path was clear, his mind sharp, his calm unbroken. The predators followed at a distance, silent, respectful, changed forever by the lesson of a smile that could command even the fiercest hunters.